So we got the first pick for this main card, right? We got Jack Hermansson versus Edmund. I can never say his last name right.
Shahbazyan.
Shahbazyan. Okay, there we go. Edmund Shahbazyan. Look, I like Jack Hermansson in this fight personally. The man went 5 rounds with Marvin Vettori, and we've seen over his past couple of fights that Marvin Vettori is just a different kind of dog. He's up for a title fight next month against Israel Adesanya. He earned that after just completely dominating Kevin Holland for 5 rounds. And, you know, Jack Hermansson is a slight favorite in this at minus 155, but that's still not even like a drastic line where it doesn't make sense to not take him. He's been having a few chin issues lately, but when he does get cracked in the face, he knows that he has to cover up and, you know, circle around the octagon and get away from the guy he's fighting. He's fought through broken ribs. I mean, this is a guy that mental toughness is really a factor for Jack Hermansson. And, you know, we saw this with Tony Ferguson last week at 262, sorry, that when you have a guy that's mentally tough, he might be getting his ribs broken. He might be getting his arms ripped out, you know, his heels completely torn to shreds. But he still kind of hangs in there and makes his presence known in the fight. I don't think that, what's his name, Edmund Shahbazyan is going to break Jack Hermansson's ribs this week. So I like Jack Hermansson here. And last thing I want to say, Edmund has bad cardio. We've seen this over numerous fights. He does gas out, even in those 3-round fights. So I'm rocking with Jack Hermansson at minus 155. Might add it to a parlay this week, but that's who I'm rocking with here.
Yeah, when we started this, I could have went either way. I liked Hermansson, but I could see a path to victory for Shahbazyan. Looking back at Shahbazyan's, you know, record here, he beat Antonio Jones, Darren Stewart, Charles Boyd, and Jack Marshman. None really phenomenal wins, not phenomenal contenders. He goes up, he fights Brad Tavares, knocks him out with a kick. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Then he fights Derek Brunson and gets TKO'd by Derek Brunson. Derek Brunson, we remember, went to decision with Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland then fought Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori beat the crap out of him. So by UFC math, that says that, you know, Marvin Vettori much better than Derek Brunson. Marvin Vettori better than Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland at least on the same par. Or I'm sorry, I'm talking crazy here. Marvin Vettori at least on the same level of Derek Brunson. Jack Hermansson went long with Marvin Vettori. I think he'll have a not an easy night against Edmund. I mean, Edmund, they call him the golden boy. He's been training with Ronda Rousey for quite some time now. But, you know, Keith, you hit it right on the head. You know, Jack, he gets hit, but he's really, really good at recovering. He's really good at bringing somebody in, bringing on the ground, and recovering from that. And in that fight with Marvin Vettori, where he stood and banged with him, he had a broken foot and a broken orbital bone while fighting Marvin Vettori. So, and he went the full 5 rounds with him. Marvin Vettori fighting for a championship, you're going to take basically 2 handicaps into a fight and go 5 rounds to a decision. I really like that. He's got a great ground and pound as well. Jack Hermansson, like I said, has the ability to survive after being hit. Edmund doesn't have great grappling. His cardio is even worse. Hermansson, he beat Kevin Gastelum, Jacare Souza, and Edmund really doesn't have a great base in MMA. He kind of is like a Swiss Army knife, and when you get hit, when you get rocked, you need to have a really good base to fall back on. You know, you fall back to your lowest level of training, and unfortunately for Edmund, he had such an even training and upbringing that he doesn't have one area that he really excels in to fall back on. So should Jack, you know, in the later rounds, ground and pound him in the second or the third round, get him down and hurt him, Edmund doesn't have like, wrestling background to fall back on like, you know, Michael Chandler would. Or, you know, he doesn't have jiu-jitsu like, you know, Charles Oliveira. So because of those reasons, I'm almost willing to call Jack Hermansson a lock here. Jack Hermansson, I don't know what the line's at as far as the rounds, but I really like Jack Hermansson in the second or even the third round here to win by TKO or by decision. Not 100% sure on the method of victory yet, but I don't know. The more we're talking about it, the more we're going through it, the more I'm looking at the past. Jack Hermansson, he's got the history. He's fought big names. Edmund Shahbazyan, he really only has Brad Tavares, which really isn't like a gigantic name. You know, I think Jack Hermansson would beat the crap out of Brad Tavares. No disrespect, Brad, but yeah, I gotta go Jack Hermansson, and I'm getting more and more bullish on this. By I'm not sure I want to call it a lock yet, but I really really like Hermansson. I'm probably gonna put some money on Hermansson. So if you want to follow me, do that. It could go either way, but I really really feel confident about Hermansson.
Yeah, and the only way that you're going to find out our last-minute locks for these fights is if you follow us on Instagram and if you follow us on Twitter. Our Instagram is Pickin Fights, no G, just Pickin. And we'll have our Twitter handles up on the screen. But, yeah, I think it's going to go to decision. That's just my feeling there. But we got to keep in mind, too, Jack Hermansson does have some submission victories over the past, and who knows, with a guy like Edmund with bad cardio, he might wrap himself around him in the third round and end this with a tap out. So that's something we got to keep an eye on. I'm definitely feeling more decision right now. Skids, you got anything to say about that?
I think the fight between Herm Edwards and Chase Edmonds is interesting. I think the resiliency Herm Edwards showed coaching the New York Jets kind of reflects the same thing you guys were saying. He's got grit, He's not going to give up. He's going to get in there. He's going to rough them up. He's going to take a couple roughers. But he's going to get out of there, and he's going to secure the W. I'm going first-round knockout.
Wow, okay, that's a strong take. We're going to make sure to keep track of Skids' picks, too. We're going to be putting those out on social media.
Who did you pick in that one?
Herm Edwards.
I think he's saying
Okay.
Jack Hermansson.
Jack
Herm
Edwards.
Guy.
Yeah. Like we said, like Skid said, he's not a huge UFC guy. So if he starts throwing some crazy names at you, that's how he's remembering it right now. Don't get it twisted. He knows what he's saying. He just doesn't know who he's saying it about.